Bay Harbor butcher killings breaks, Hercule Poirot is absolutely horrified. Even in all his years of detective work, Poirot has never seen the scale and barbarity of violence of the Bay Harbor butcher come from one person. And once he learns of the case, he feels morally obligated to lend his assistance to the investigation, likely unable to even sleep at night, knowing such a monster walks among us. Short on leads and manpower, Miami Metro gladly accepts the help, and either officially or unofficially, a combination of his reputation and charm puts Poirot as lead on the case. Once again, everything plays out very similar to the actual investigation with Lundy. He makes the same observations and discoveries and comes to many of the same conclusions. Deborah even tries her hand flirting with him, though Poirot wants none of that. But not unlike with Dick Tracy, things shift around the time of the copycat killer incident. Masuka still gives Poirot the creeps, so he takes Dexter instead to the copycat killer crime scene. And this is where Poirot's focus of the investigation begins to shift towards Dexter himself. Even Lundy in this scene originally takes note of Dexter's demeanor and meticulousness and seems to entertain the idea Dexter could be the Bay Harbor butcher, or at the very least ponders on the idea that the Bay Harbor butcher is a person like Dexter. But these conclusions get significantly more serious when you replace Lundy in this scene with Poirot. Poirot's emotional and psychological intelligence is off the chart, and it's likely Poirot not only realizes in this moment that Dexter perfectly fits the profile of the killer they're looking for, but like Dokes, he also recognizes something very off about Dexter. Or in other words, his intuition will be screaming at him that Dexter is someone worthy of a closer look. From here, Poirot's role in the case switches from Lundy's to Dokes, where Poirot starts investigating and even following Dexter personally. Dexter really has to put his lifelong skills as a chameleon here to the test, because when Poirot grills him, it's about twice as bad as when Lundy does it in the original story. Not only does Poirot bring up some of Dexter's shoddy blood work, like Lundy does, but Poirot has an eye for little details, and he picks up things most other detectives do not notice. Simple things like the fact that Dexter always brings donuts for everybody at work, but he never really saves any for himself, or the fact he's always telling Rita that he can't be around because he's working overtime at the lab when he's not. Or even Dexter's unbothered and sometimes even playful demeanor at gruesome crime scenes. None of these things are damning in and of themselves, but these in combination with the shoddy blood work really puts Dexter in the hot seat, and it makes him squirm as Poirot continues to put on the pressure and rake him over the coals. In most of Poirot's cases, this is where a lot of his suspects would crack, but Dexter has been training for this kind of thing literally his entire life. So Dexter holds it together just long enough to get through the scathing interview and cautiously